Okay, so here we are together on the workshop called How to Succeed at Potty Training Without Tears and Frustration. And I'm going to move through this workshop at quite a pace. I hope that you've got your workbooks printed out. You did get some links. If you haven't, there is, I'm just going to pop that up. Yeah, there should be, you can see the workbook is available to print if you wanted to do that quickly. But if you can't, then just grab yourself some paper and pen and you can answer the questions as I go through. So how to succeed at potty training without tears and frustration. And I am Camilla McGill. And what I'm going to do shortly is switch my camera off so that you can really focus on the slides and also on writing down in your workbook. So I'm Camilla McGill and I'm the founder of My Parenting Solutions. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. And as you join, just quickly pop your name and where you're from in the chat box. So I'm a parent educator and I've been working in this field for 20 years. I feel so privileged to do the work that I do because nothing inspires me more than helping parents feel more confident, feel like they're doing a better job, giving them what I'd call a toolkit of extra skills and solutions to solve the difficult problems that we encounter as parents. And today is all about the issues with potty training and how you might want to change your approach. As well as being a parent educator, I'm also a mother of 4, which has been a massive contribution to the work that I do with parents and also a contribution to my life. My children are now 15 and upwards, so you'll see, I'm going to talk about them a little bit in a minute. This is more about you, but sometimes it helps to know the background of the person who's leading the workshop. So that's me, mother of 4, and also passionate about potty training and helping you to get it right. What I'd love you to do now is to switch off your distractions. Difficult, I know it is, but take this time for you. It's not often we do things for ourselves as parents, but see this as a really nice time for yourself to focus and get ideas and solutions and leave feeling positive. So whatever it is around you that might be distracting you, switch it off. And today what you're going to learn is the 3 secrets to successful potty training. This is something that I have been researching and working on for many, many years. And I've pulled together what I consider to be the 3 most important elements to successful potty training. And that's what you're going to learn today. So I'm going to switch my camera off, but I want you to focus on this. And tell me if this describes you. So in the chat box, if you feel like you've messed up and perhaps you've barely started, give me a 1 in the chat box. I'm going to give you 4 different options and you might give me a 1 and a 2 or a 1, a 2 or a 3, depends on where you are. But if you feel like you've messed up and perhaps you've barely started, give me a 1 in the chat box. Because I'm really keen to know, what's going on for you. If you have been going at this a while and you're having battles or your child has regressed, then give me a 2 in the chat box. And I really get how frustrating those battles are and how difficult it is when your child has regressed and you can feel really puzzled and just not know how to do with it. If somebody's yet to start, I'm coming on to that. That's the number 4. So for the moment, if you've just started and you feel like you've not got it right, that's a 1. If you have been going at this a while and it's a battle, or you perhaps feel your child has regressed, give me a 2. Maybe this describes you. You've got a specific wee or poo problem. You may think you're the only one with a specific or poo or wee problem, and it can feel quite lonely. But believe me, I hear from people all the time how difficult it is when you hit that kind of wee or poo problem, when they have constant poo accidents, when they withhold, so they they need to do a poo and they're holding on to it. Same thing can happen with wees, and you start to really worry and panic about it. And maybe they're also having lots of accidents. So if that's you, give me a 3 in the chat box. And I've already got quite a number of 3s. So, you know, it is quite reassuring to know that you're not the only one, even though you may be the only one in your cohort. And if you're looking for a roadmap, so somebody mentioned already haven't started, perhaps you haven't started because you're concerned about how your child will respond, knowing what you know about your child, or perhaps you haven't started because you just don't really know where to start. So you would give me a number 4. Great, so I've got a mixture of people here. And I want to encourage you to stay to the end. We're going to be on for about an hour. I have a brand new bonus, and it's all about dealing with difficult behavior. So I'm going to tell you about that at the end, and stay with me. So just a little bit about me. I have, as I mentioned earlier, some of you have joined since I mentioned that. I have 4 children, and they are now, they were on the right when we were doing some climbing this summer, between the age of 15 and 22, almost 23. And there they are on the left when they were much younger. So I have my older boys, Nico and Felix, and my girls are Scarlett and Alice. And as I said earlier, I get a huge amount out of being a parent. It's incredibly challenging, and it has been very challenging over the years, but I've learned so much, and that's what I love to impart to you. So why have I honed in on potty training? I'm a general parent educator, but I also absolutely love helping people with potty training. And it's partly, I think you'll often find this, when parents have had people in life have had a problem with something, that's often what they like to help other people with. So that's me. I was a mother of Felix. Well, I'm a mother of Felix. He was approaching his 3rd birthday, and I just had my 3rd baby. And I thought I was there at home, spending a lot of time sitting on the sofa breastfeeding, and I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, he's nearly 3, and I better get this child potty trained. So literally overnight, from one day to the next, which you might think would be the right approach, but it really isn't, and it really wasn't for Felix. I just, without the preparation, I removed his nappies, I presented him with a potty, and I expected him to get it, and he didn't. And he really didn't get it for a very long time. He was a particularly, he was the kind of character that doesn't like to sit still, was quite strong and willful, liked to do his things his own way. And he was not engaging with using the potty, but nor did he want to go back to wearing a nappy, which was something that we considered. And what happened was I began to feel hopeless. As the time went on and he was having accident after accident, I really felt like I just didn't know what to do. I also found it incredibly frustrating because, you know, when there's yet another crawl behind the sofa to do a poo, when you thought your child should know by now, plus, you know, the mess of it, it really is frustrating. And with that frustration, I slipped into very bad habits with him. So what I kept doing is chopping and changing my approach, and I'd start off by being calm and wound up by being really frustrated and saying the things to him that I didn't like myself for. And does this resonate with you? As you're listening to me, are you thinking, yeah, I've kind of done that? So if you were the ones that perhaps, you know, have hit some problems, just if you give me a yes, if that means if this is kind of thing, if you're thinking, yeah, this sounds a bit like me, you're feeling frustrated and you don't quite know what approach to take, or you're chopping and changing with your approaches, give me a yes in the chat box, or maybe even like a that's me. So we would do things like start to use a sticker or a chart, and then he wasn't really very interested in that. So then we started with sweet, chocolate button or M&M rewards, but he wouldn't produce what we wanted him to produce on the potty, and then he'd scream for the chocolate. So we would then maybe make some little threats like, well, unless you go and use it, you can't come and watch your TV program. We would, use the bribes, like, have your chocolate when you've done your poo. And it just wasn't working. And actually what we found was that Felix wasn't happy. And this is what we often forget. We get so frustrated that we often forget that actually our child is as unhappy as we are, even though we think it should be so obvious to them what they need to do because we've told them. And believe me, I'm absolutely sure you've told your child, if you're one of these people that have started, you've told them what to do. And when they don't do it, it's really frustrating. But he wasn't happy either. So what did we do to solve the problem? Well, we realized that we were kind of that sign of madness when you're trying the same thing over and over again and you're not expecting a different result. So we decided to ask an expert, and we got expert help because we just felt that doing it alone wasn't working. And what happened? So what really helped was that we learned, and you may not have come across this because it's quite unusual to be taught this, but we taught Felix all about the brain-body connection and the power of the brain-body connection around potty training. And that was a really big game changer for him. How did we engage him? We stopped telling him what to do. Now, you would think with potty training, what you need to do is tell them, here's the potty, you need to wee in it. Here's the potty, you need to poo in it. I refer to potty partly, I'll talk about that at the end when I can come to your questions, but partly because it's usually easier for a child to sit on when they're starting. So you might think it's easy, but it really wasn't obvious to him, and it wasn't obvious to us how to get him engaged in it. But we started working together and we stopped telling him what to do, and the results were fantastic. He stopped resisting us and he wanted to use the potty. And you know what happened to him? He just gained so much confidence in his own abilities. He was able to go to nursery and use the toilet there confidently. That meant that the nursery teachers had way more time to spend with him playing and on games than taking him to change his wet clothes and clean up his poo. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but believe me, nursery school teachers find it, even though they try to be patient, if your child is the one that's having a lot of accidents, it takes them away from the teaching and the activities, and it's frustrating for them. So he knew that in his, even if it was an unconscious thing, and he found that by being able to use the toilet, he felt so much more independent. And he had other leaps in his development. He just wanted to do more. It had been quite more traumatic for him than we realized, and he came out of his shell. So happy boy, happy parents. And Gitty was another, I want to tell you about her. So Gitty is a mum of 3, and she had had 2 months of really stressful times with her middle child, really afraid to let it go. I don't know if this rings a bell to you, but sometimes this can happen. And with Gitty, it was not just, it can be one or the other, but with Gitty, it was both. So he would be hopping around. She knew that he needed to use the potty, but he was frightened of it. And when she came on the program that I'm going to tell you about at the end, she got tangible results. And you may pick up through this session, this workshop, you may also pick up some tangible solutions to implement right away. And she stopped feeling like she was messing up terribly or that it was too late to change things. We can feel terribly guilty with our children when they are in pain or uncomfortable and we just don't know what we've done wrong. And she felt that I had an amazing understanding of what a mother might be experiencing and was sympathetic and helped her pinpoint exactly how to get back on track if things are not going well. And I'll always say don't despair, don't beat yourself up. There are ways to get back on track, and there are ways to figure out your child. And I'm coming on to secret one, which is about that, figuring out your child. So if you're here because you don't feel confident that you're getting anywhere, or perhaps you don't feel confident about where to start, listen on for ideas for connecting, for helping to avoid resistance and working in partnership to get the job done. And listen on for ideas. When I say listen, it's also about watching. And I hope that you've switched off your other distractions so you can watch and listen, and get some inspiration for your problem. So your problem might be, as I've mentioned already, the fear of the potty, they won't poo, or they're having constant accidents, or they're holding on to wee. So if you've one of the ones that have already started, watch and listen on for some inspiration. And stay with me if you want to successfully potty train with a gentle and mindful approach. You probably saw on the sign-up page that that's my approach. And if you're an active and involved parent, stay on the line. Now, if you're thinking that things like punishment are a good thing with potty training, then you won't really enjoy what I've got to say. But if you want a gentle and mindful approach, which is what I've worked out over the 20 years since my son since I've been working in parenting, it's about 18 years since I was potty training Felix, then I hope that you'll like what I have to say. And stay with me if you want to learn more, not just about the potty training, but about positively connecting with your child. And if you want to know how to sort out your problem. So imagine what it would feel like if you actually enjoyed the process and you felt like you knew your child so much better. That kind of lovely, just that connecting with them, that bond with them that's developed. And imagine this, that your child has become so much more confident and cooperative. Believe me, potty training is complex. It's a really complex skill, and it's a huge milestone for your child when they master that skill. But for some, it can be quick, and for others, it really does take more. It's more complicated for them. So imagine that you feel so chilled about it that you don't even think about potty training anymore. You know that you can go out on a trip and your child will be able to hold on to it. They'll be able to use a potty somewhere else, or they'll be able to go to a public toilet. They'll be able to, you can go on a visit and know, or they go to school and you're not going to be presented with bags of wet clothes. So imagine what that would feel like, that you're just so chilled about it that you don't even have to think or refer to it anymore. That doesn't mean to say that they might not have the odd accident, but it's just not dominating. So where are we going on this workshop? We're coming on to secret 1, and then I'm going to cover secret 2 and secret 3. I'm going to show you how you can take this further and go deeper. And I'm also at the end, I'll cover questions. So hold your questions until we reach the end, because I won't necessarily see them if you write them now in the chat box. So seek the 3 secrets to successful potty training. And here's secret number 1. Figure out your child. Parents will often come to me feeling so despondent because they tried what their friend did, and it just didn't work. Quite often it's with a second child. I don't know if that's you, if you're a first child, if you're come on this workshop with a first child or a second child. Perhaps jot that for me in the chat box to say whether it's your first or second, or sometimes I get people coming with their third child and they just hadn't realized that they need to figure out an approach to suit that child. And, you know, it may have just not occurred to people that it's, it is so much about the child, not and about tailoring the approach. So I've got a lot of people here, fantastic, with your first child. And problems can occur with your first, your second, or your third. And here is a nice survey for you, perhaps to give you a bit of reassurance. This was done by an organization, a charity called Baby Center. Check them out. They've got lots of nice free resources. But they surveyed almost 500 parents. And they found that 23% of the parents they surveyed found potty training quite easy. However, 27% found it a bit of a struggle, 20% found it very stressful, and a whopping 30% found it almost impossible. So actually 77% of the parents that they surveyed were either a bit of a struggle, very stressful, or almost impossible. So don't assume that it is easy and straightforward. And it's a kind of combination of your approach and your child. And I'm all about adapting the roadmap to suit your child. And I'll show you some ways to do that. So very important is to take the pressure off yourself to get it over and done with. Now, I'm not about the one-day potty training. This is an approach that is particularly important to put the time in up front, to do some preparation. And then when you reach the stage where you know that your child's ready to remove their nappies, it can be really quick. But it isn't like I did, no preparation to nappy removal one day to the next. So, but take the pressure off yourself to get it over and done with, and learn ways to actually enjoy the process. Because what can happen when you don't have the right approach is that you get a resistant child who may actually be traumatized or refuses to go near it. You'll hear some stories of a couple of other parents who really had felt that their child was traumatized. And I want to help you avoid that. And if you're here because you're one of them, because you feel that your child has been traumatized, please don't beat yourself up, but listen, because there are definitely ways to take that trauma away and get back on track. So if you don't have the right approach, you'll often stop and start numerous times. Now, I'm not about never stopping, but if you start again without a plan, you can often hit the same problems and hit the same resistant child. And you can, if you don't have the right approach, you'll just get far more mess out of the potty than in it. And that mess is going to be probably in their pants or all over the floor. Here's Chandy. She was somebody who'd started and stopped twice. And she was really determined not to fail again. And she went through the training and she made a plan, and she found that her son potty training really quickly, which was such a relief for her. She said she wouldn't hesitate to recommend Camilla McGill, because I gave her confidence and showed her how to get her child on board. This is about you, and I'm about helping you to get things right. So there is Chandy, not with a potty training child, with her younger little baby, but I wanted to show you her photo. So really important when you're figuring out your child is stand in your child's shoes. So what do I mean by stand in their shoes? I mean, what is the world like for your child? Sometimes it even helps to literally get down to their level and see what the world is like for them. Now, your child is unique and their world is unique, but stand in their shoes and see how they see the world. What's going on around them? Are there stresses going on around them that you perhaps hadn't been aware of? What's their character like? How do they experience the day? And sometimes when we stand in their shoes, we realize that we've been rushing them. We've been nagging at them. We haven't really just, given them the time to express themselves. So stand in their shoes and figure out what the world is actually like for your child. And also, I'm going to ask you to jot these things down in your workbook. So what can you observe about your child? I'm going to pop my camera back on and I'm going to show you what I mean. I want you to put on your magnifying glasses. So there's a photograph there of a lady with a magnifying glass, but really, really observe what the world is like for your child. And I'll often say, raise your antennae, because you as a parent know an awful lot about your child. But sometimes what happens is we're so busy living life, we're so busy doing, and I completely get that life right now is pretty stressful, but you will just help your potty training journey by really, really observing what really noticing and observing what your child's like. So what are their likes and dislikes and their interests and abilities? What are they drawn to? What activities are they really particularly drawn to? Watch them. And also, what are their fears and worries? Because sometimes it's easy to dismiss what a child's fears and worries are because we think that it's silly. But really watch out for what are their fears and worries and what are their likes and dislikes and interests and abilities, because that can harness how you approach the potty training with them. Be aware of your own impact. Children are sponges, so they pick up on everything. Good news, they pick up on the good stuff. So the more positive we are, the more they will pick up on that from you. Now, parents will often say that they started off their potty training positively, and they'll say to me, but Camilla, I was really positive at the start. And I get that, because that was how I was with Felix. But as time goes on, you start to get frustrated and you start to huff and puff and say, why have you had an accident? I can't believe you wet yourself again. Have you done a poo? And they'll lie to you and say they haven't, because they don't want to be, they don't want your disapproval. So parents, I would just say, be aware of your own impact. The more positive you are, the more they're going to pick up on that. And I'm going to show you ways to be more positive. And avoid the battles. Just don't meet resistance with resistance. When, if I've had parents say to me, I just got into this thing, I reached the end of my tether and I said, look, you've just got to sit on the potty now because I know you need a poo or you need a wee. And then the battle starts. And then your child, even if they think that they do need a poo, will often get into battle with you over it because they start to resist us. So don't meet resistance with resistance. There are other ways of engaging them, and listen on, because I'm going to tell you other ways to engage them. So jot in your workbook. This is secret number 1, figure out your child. You might also, in that workbook, I think it says, I haven't got a copy in front of me actually, it says what kind of approach would you like to have to potty train your child, but also jot down what are my child's likes and dislikes and their interests and abilities, and how does he or she feel about potty training so far. If you haven't started, how do you want them to feel about potty training? And this comes into your planning. So you might want to say not rushed, or you might want to say you want them to feel confident, or you might want them to feel that you're on their side. So those kind of things, you want them to feel proud of themselves. So that kind of thing. What do you want your child to feel about potty training, and what are their likes and interests and abilities? So that's on secret number 1, figuring out your child. Secret number 2, building on secret number 1, is connecting with your child. Now, what do I mean by connect? Building that bond, building that closeness with your child. I know I absolutely guarantee you've chosen to come and spend an hour with me. I am sure you have a close connection with your child. And I'm going to show you how to deepen that and how to particularly guide your potty training by having a deeper connection. Don't assume that it's obvious either for you to know what to do or for them to know what to do. It's not necessarily straightforward. You may have picked up a book or two, but I'm here to show you extra ways of making sure that you've really understood these 3 secrets and how to connect it to your child. So don't assume that it's obvious. And Chrissy, it was not obvious for Chrissy and Dan. their little Otto knew that he was the last one in his preschool class to be potty trained. And they realized that as a result, it had given him low self-esteem because other kids had started teasing him about it. He was nearly 4 by the time Chrissy found me, and she will always say, please don't leave it as long as we left it. She had got to the stage where they were at a total loss for what to do to help him, and they felt completely helpless. And they found that the support was a total godsend. Otto got it. He understood finally how to use the potty and what his body signals were. I talked at the beginning about teaching the child about the brain-body connection, and that was a massive game change for little Otto. And he is so proud of himself now. He's got a newfound confidence that he can do hard things and that he's capable. And they've sent me a little recording of Otto saying how proud he is. It's absolutely wonderful. I have got it to play, but I've had bad problems with tech, so I'm too scared to play you Otto's little recording. But it just showed the difference it can make in a child when he knows that he's mastered a difficult skill, or she, and has just had that boost in esteem, particularly when they've had a miserable time. And I want to avoid you having a miserable time. So some kids definitely find it harder than others. So that's what I mean. Don't assume that it's easy, and also don't assume that it's going to be easy for your child, because it isn't necessarily going to be like that. So here are 4 great ways to connect with your child. Invest in emotional connection. Laura and Russell said that their child was traumatized. Their little girl was traumatized by their first numerous, actually, attempts at potty training, and they wished they got help sooner to avoid months of misery. Undoing the damage took time, but now they're back on track and they are really making progress. So invest in that emotional connection. It's about figuring out your child and particularly helping to understand what their fears are, not by asking them, because you won't necessarily know that, but there are lots of ways to really, really understand what your child's feelings are, and be able to help them understand and build on their emotional intelligence. Number 2 is engaging them in the science. Children are wonderful little scientists, even if they're little, and teaching them, I've talked about it before, about the brain-body connection and other ways to engage in the science of potty training can really help your connection with them and help to lower that resistance. Number 3 is about doing physical preparation and making it fun. So sometimes, I said earlier that what I never advise is that you jump straight in. So sometimes parents will actually go back. They'll kind of take a step backwards and do some more of the physical preparation and making it fun. There's things like books and songs and games and apps. And again, it's about having kind of connected with what your child's likes and dislikes are and what their interests are. So you can do physical preparation, not just about sitting on the potty, but other ways to prepare to help make it fun for them. Now, I want to ask you a question. I know that you're positive parents, and I would like you to tell me what you say when you're praising your child, because I know that you praise your children, and I'd love you just to jot in your chat box there what kind of things you say when you're being positive and you're praising your child for something that they've done. So if you can just give me some examples of what kind of things you say to your child when they have done something right. And sometimes it takes a tiny bit of time for me to see the responses in the chat box. But what I'm going to take a guess. What normally positive parents will say are things like, well done, clever girl, clever cookie. I love how you do that. Great, okay. And I'll often get things like, good job, or you're brilliant. So I'm going to tell you, and some of you have already got some ideas here. I can see you're ahead of the game. I want to tell you how to raise your child's self-esteem with descriptive praise. So let me give you an example for that. So instead of saying well done or you're so clever, if your child was, say, perhaps doing some practice and they were going to pull their pants down and sit on the potty, you would say something like, you put your thumbs on either side of your pants and you pushed your thumbs down, and that meant your pants came down. And then you backed up a bit and you lowered your bottom onto the potty, and now you're sitting securely on the potty, all ready to practice what it's like to sit on the potty. Now, you may be at the stage where they've are ready to do a wee. So then you would say, you'd say all of that, and you'd say, and you've produced a wee. So it gives them much more description than just the good girl and good boy. And we're talking about really deepening their self-esteem, their ability to know that they do think they are capable and they do things right. So you're going to also praise all their capabilities, not just potty training, not just potty training related praise. So little girl climbing up a rope ladder, you might say, you held on really tight, you concentrated, you put your feet one above the other in the holes, and that meant you got to the top of the ladder. That's really descriptive, and it's very, very powerful. So jot down in your workbook, how could you connect more with your child? What could you do to connect more with your child? I gave you those 4 different ways to connect. That's the emotional connection, the practice, the praising them, and I've forgotten what the 4th one was. But the different ways to connect with your child, engaging with them in play. So that is secret number 2. And I'd like you to think for yourself how you could connect more with your child. Is this making sense for you? Are you thinking, yeah, actually, I like these ideas? If that's the case, then just give me a yes or a great or getting it in the chat box, so I know that this is I'm making this clear for you. Okay, so that is secret number 2, and I'm going to move on now to secret number 2. Oh, lovely. I've got some thumbs up. Nice and easy. Yeah, give me thumbs up in the chat box if this is making sense to you. Excellent. Okay, here's secret number 3. Focus on problem solving with your child. So often as parents, we just assume that it's our job to fix the problems, to sort things out. And it isn't necessarily, because children know so much, and we forget that they know so much. So your child knows way more than you realize, and figure things out together. So what do I mean by that? If they are having constant accidents, rather than saying, you've just got to tell me that when you need the potty, figure out what's causing the accidents. It's not always straightforward, and each child is different, but there will be things that cause them to have accidents. If you've got to figure out a plan that suits your child, and sometimes you can do that just by playing with them and having, games and just increasing that connection and that bond helps you to figure things out. That doesn't mean to say that they can't be steered by you or guided by you, but it's when they realize that you're hand in hand with them and figuring things out together that they'll often come up with information that gives you ideas for solutions. So figure things out together, and really listen to what they tell you, verbally and non-verbally. Children will, they are communicating to us all the time, and they won't necessarily tell us how they're feeling. In fact, it's actually pretty rare for a child to tell you how they're feeling, but you've got to watch out for their signals. So that's both their body signals So they will be giving little messages about their body signals for when they need the potty, but also what their emotions are. So they will be giving you information verbally and non-verbally about what their emotions are, and particularly what their emotions are around why they're resisting, and what their emotions are if they've got fears of the potty. They really will be giving you the information, and you've got to, I'm gonna pop myself back on camera again. It's that antennae again, and the magnifying glasses. It's about watching them and observing the information that they're giving you. And sometimes that requires actually slowing down. I know that that's hard in busy lives, and often you've got a second baby to look after. So it can be that you just need to slow down a bit, and observe and listen to what the information that they're giving you. And problem solving together helps you decide what approach to take. So it may be that by problem solving, you figure out that one of the reasons your child is resistant to using the potty is that they've got FOMO, fear of missing out. In which case, one of your solutions may be that you tell your child that the game will be left. They can come back to it when they've had a try on the potty, or it may be that you bring the game with you. So that is one little example of problem solving. But it's about doing it together, and working in partnership takes the stress out of potty training. So, the title of this workshop is How to Potty Train Without Tears and Frustration. And when you get that working in partnership going, it really takes the stress out of potty training, because it's not about you making sure that you have to solve everything, but it's working together to solve the problems or to figure out the right approach. So jot in your workbook, how can you work in partnership with your child? What activities or games can you do with them? Again, about building that connection that we've talked about figuring them out. These three secrets are very linked. They're they're not linear. One thing leads into another and feeds another. But sometimes I put a little photograph of doing some gardening. Maybe that you increase that bond and you get to learn more about your child by a little gardening project or a particular game, or you state the problem. The problem is you tell me when you're busy that you don't need to use the potty, but I can see that you do. How are we going to come to a solution with that? So that might be one way that you problem solve with your child. You're going to adapt it to a younger child if they haven't got quite that level of language, but it is definitely adaptable. And in fact, parents will often ask me what age should they be potty training. And I'll always say it's much more about stage than age. And if you're wanting me to talk about an age range, I would say that 20 months is quite young. The kind of sweet spot is between the age of 2 and 3, but each child is different. And if you've got a child that's older than 3 and perhaps you've started and stopped, or you just haven't felt that they're ready, then don't beat yourself up. That's fine. There are plenty of ways to get them engaged, get them involved, get them connected with you, to get that potty training nailed, and they graduate to being a potty trained child with the confidence and the independence that goes with that. So here we go again. Just to review what we've talked about, the 3 secrets to successful potty training. Figure out your child, not in comparison with another child that you might have, not in comparison to other children, perhaps the nursery that they go to, or your sister's children or your cousin's children, your child. Connect with your child in the many ways that I've described already, and focus on problem solving with your child. And those 3 secrets can really take you quite far. And here's the thing that I mentioned at the beginning, is potty training mindfully isn't just about getting the job done. It's about deepening your love and your connection with your child and increasing their self-belief. Children really listen to this carefully and even write this down on your notebook, your workbook. Resilience. Children with strong self-belief are much more likely to be resilient. They are going to have life's knocks. They are going to have disappointments. They are going to have times when they feel sad. But if you have deepened your love and your connection and you've increased your child's self-belief, they'll bounce back from those knocks. If they have an experience of embarrassment, they know how to bounce back from it and give it a go again, rather than be so crippled by the feeling of embarrassment that they'll never try whatever it is that they felt embarrassed about again. So it's really, really crucial. And I'm going to want to ask you a question. Do you want to get your child on board for potty training problems with a gentle and mindful approach? And if that's you, give me a gentle in the chat box, because each parent is different. But if that's something you think, yeah, I really do, I want to get my child on board with a gentle and a mindful approach, just mindful, i.e., but very much thinking about your child. Lovely. So I've got loads of gentles coming into the chat box. And what if you learnt techniques to positively connect with your child, and with that, got them to be more cooperative? And you might be saying, hold on a minute, what's connection got to do with cooperation? Honestly, it has a massive connection. So if you would love to connect more with your child, then give me a connect in the chat box. Great, I've got loads of connects. So loads of gentles and loads of connects. And what if your child graduated from potty training and you felt like a better parent because of it? So if that connects with, if that resonates with you, put a love in the chat box. And you can even put a little emoji love, or you can just write love. So if you would like your child to graduate and you felt like a better parent because of it, put a love in the chat box. Fantastic. Okay, so I have two options for you. Option one is take what you've learnt today and have a go at it yourself. Now, you might find that you get going and that's absolutely fine. Or you might find that you suddenly think, you know what, I really actually don't know what to do now. So I would love you to listen to option two. What if I was to personally help you and your child through the entire process? Now, for some parents, you know, they think about entire like it's going to be a really complicated and time-consuming process. Not necessarily, but I'm about helping you make it. You'll see what I'm about helping you make it. But so I would absolutely love to personally help you through the entire process. And I have, to do that, I have a program called Potty Success Academy. And some of the parents that, well, the parents that I have talked about already, not some, the parents that have talked about already have been through Potty Success Academy with their child. And that's how I was able to help them to get the results. So it's about giving you your roadmap. And it is a 4-step proven system for positive potty training that's based on the 20 years that I've been working with parents and the massive amount of research and testing and development that I do in order to have made this program what I consider to be the best one available. So here's what's involved. Somebody's asked if they will get a replay of the webinar. Yes, you will. So step one is get centered and get ready. But I'd love you to stay on now, because I've got a great bonus I want to tell you about, and I want to tell you about how you can get this love, this connection with your child, and through coming on Potty Success Academy. So step one is get centered and ready. And you might be saying, well, I'm already kind of started but actually to come back to module one, step one, about getting centered and ready can often make a really big difference, both to the parent and to the child. So it's getting you prepared and it's getting you into the right frame of mind, because mindset is everything with potty training, both for you and for your child. You're in this together. Step two, get set. Bring out the scientist in your child. And actually, it's giving you a massive amount of information about the science behind potty training, which can really inform your approach to it. There are some fantastic science experiments that I have developed specifically for little children that they absolutely love. And it's about getting them to understand the brain-body connection. And I teach you in detail how to do that. And, it's all about teaching your child. And not only is the brain-body connection brilliant for potty training, but it's great for all kinds of things. It helps them understand how their body works and how their brain works. And it's also, step two is about nailing how to talk so your child will listen, and listen so your child will talk. Now, that is an incredibly useful skill as a parent. I see this now with my children as they're growing up. They will really talk to me because of the skills that I'm going to teach you within Potty Success Academy. When they've got problems, they come to me and they tell me about them. I also have that way of my antennae are up and I can identify what things are bothering them. And I've got that bond so they can tell me, now, you don't want your child to bottle things up. You don't want your child to have problems and that they don't tell you about. That might be bullying or teasing, and they feel ashamed. So I'm giving you the tools within Potty Success Academy that are so broad that they really help you to nail how to talk to your child so they'll listen, and listen so they'll talk. And that also means how to engage with them so that they will take your advice. They will come to the potty when you make the suggestion that it's time, because again, you've got that bond and you've figured them out. Step three, get going. Goodbye to nappies and goodbye to accidents. Not never having an accident, because that's normal, but goodbye to constant accidents. Goodbye to being greeted at the door of their nursery with 6 bags of wet clothes. Getting a confident and cooperative child who knows their body and willingly uses the potty. Now, if that sounds to you like, yeah, I really love the sound of that, give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box, just to make sure that I'm hitting the spot for you. Step 4 is get problem solving. Now, that isn't at the end of the 4 steps, but it's about extra support for specific problems. That may be the withholding problems, that may be a lot of accident problems, or it may be that you've regressed. Or it may be that you get all completely going and you're absolutely fine, and you hit a period of regression, which can happen. And that step 4 gives you all the solutions to dealing with regression and getting your child back on track. I want your child, by the end of the program, they will have graduated with flying colors. That is my mission, and Potty Success Academy gives you all the support to be able to help them graduate with flying colors, to learn their body signals and know when and where to use the potty. They may have graduated to using the toilet by this point, and be free of fears and feel happy and confident. And not just about using the potty, but happier and confident in themselves. And they get a graduation certificate. You send me a photograph of your child and you might tell me what you want the certificate to say, and I send you back a lovely PDF that they've graduated from Potty Success Academy. It's wonderful to give children that kind of acknowledgement. They love to show off their certificates. They take their certificate into nursery. They show grandma and grandpa. They show other friends that they've made it. And it's just a lovely experience for your child to get that sense of self-worth and self-belief. And by the end of the program, and you may be thinking, oh my goodness, how long do I have to spend on this program? I'll tell you about that in a second. It's really as long as you want, because you have lifelong access to it. So you might just keep coming back and refreshing things, or you might have found that you leave it for a month or two and then come back to it. So you'll have learned tools for life, this strong connection and a great communication with your child. And you'll have removed all the anxiety, and you'll love hanging out with your child. So how wonderful would that be? And you get those specific problems solved, because I include the latest research and the specific solutions for things like withholding, fear of the potty, constipation, regression, and constant accidents. You get printable resources, diagrams, posters, quick guides, booklets, experiments to do with your child. You've got in-depth examples of the language of descriptive praise and how to validate your child's emotion that's come from my so many years of experience of working with parents. And normally the program for Potty Success Academy, with all the resources, the downloadables and the printables, would be £395. And wait, because I'm going to show you a special offer I have on this today. So Stephanie Oy, some of you may know her through Instagram. She's a GP, a practicing GP and a mum of two. And she came on Potty Success Academy, and she said, although she's a GP, when it came to her daughter's potty training, she was clueless. And the program Potty Success Academy helped her approach it with confidence. It wasn't as straightforward as she'd imagined. So she was really thankful to have the guidance and the support. And her little girl is now graduated and no more accidents. I have not only produced Potty Success Academy program that I've told you about, but I've added in 3 bonuses. So bonus 1 is a recorded consultation with Zoe Kirby, who's an expert, gives you expert advice to ensure that your child has tip-top digestive health to avoid constipation. We know so much more about the importance of gut health, and to start early with your child and improve their gut health. I learned a huge amount when I did the recorded consultation with Zoe, and I thought I knew quite a lot about constipation, about health. So it's really, really valuable, that information. And that would normally bring the price up. To get that information would bring the price up to £475. I added in a second bonus. I wanted to hear about the best way to link with daycare. Parents often tell me they don't know how to make sure that their daycare or nursery transition for their child is going to be smooth, or to help to get them on board. So I interviewed Becca Maddox, who's a daycare consultant, and I also interviewed Heta Trollope, who's a Norland nanny, to hear about their expertise and their advice, which very much aligned with mine, but it's great to hear from them. I've also added bonus 3, which is being part of an exclusive private members group. You get weekly Q&A sessions for each of the modules with me, and you get ongoing support from me and other parents in answering your questions within the group. It's a really great way to get that extra coaching. I stick in gifts to encourage you and to celebrate with you. Other parents give you extra advice or sympathy if you've hit a little rocky point. And the value of that, the information and the support you get, would normally bring the value of Potty Success Academy with the 3 bonuses up to £705. And I have a special offer on for you. I absolutely love this program, and I want to make it accessible to you. So I'm offering it to you, the class of autumn 2020, to join the class of autumn 2020. I close the doors in 5 days' time. You will receive some emails to remind you of that. But the minute you get going, the minute you enroll in Potty Success Academy, you get access to the program and you can start to learn. So I have an offer of, it's £249, or if you're from over the pond, as they say, $316. You can also split those payments. And when you go through, I'll show you how to do that. you can do a split payment if that's easier for you. Kate and Ollie, mum of Billy, were again, they were similar to some of the other parents. They just didn't know what they were doing with Billy's potty training. They were totally inconsistent and they'd made really poor progress. They found they were really stressed and Kate felt she'd failed her child. He was also becoming more and more withdrawn, and she said the accidents were relentless. And the utter relief when they joined Potty Success Academy, the change was instant. So happy child, happy parents, and they've never looked back. They just say, go for it. It's really worth every penny. If you want to avoid problems with potty training, or if you've got problems and you want to get them nailed, honestly, I would just absolutely love you to join me. Get them their graduation certificate. So just to review what's covered in it, and I'm coming to your questions because I love to have your questions. You have a 4-step proven system. Get ready, get set, get going, and get problem solving. You have information about gut health to improve constipation and improve immunity through gut health. You've also got childcare expertise. You've got the exclusive membership of the Facebook group and training within that. And you've got all those printables, science experiments, printable guides, diagrams, and checklists. Everything within that is included. The link below gives you the information about what's included, and it gives you the link to join. I would really love to have you join me. And you may have questions, so that's absolutely fine. But just to remind you, it's £249, or you can split that over 2 payments. You also, because I'm so confident in the program, I give you a 14-day money-back guarantee. I really believe that it's the finest program of its kind. So if you're not satisfied, having gone over the modules, after as long as it's before 14 days, I will give you your money back, no quibbles, and I would be very happy to do that. My experience is that people love the program, but I want to reassure you, so I offer you that 14-day money-back guarantee. And when you go through to the Join PSA link, then once you've enrolled, this is what it looks like in the members area. So you get your own login. You can watch it on an iPad, a phone, or a laptop or a PC, and you log in and watch the modules as you in your own time. Each module has about between 5 and 8 lessons within it, and they're all about between 5 and 10 minutes. And then you've got the extra bonus videos and things to watch. So enroll. This is what it looks like when you go through to that link, Join PSA, and you can read in more depth about what is covered, and it's also got some questions answered within that. That then takes you through to the checkout, where you securely put in your card details, and then you will get an email with your login and your membership. This is for the class of autumn 2020. I only open up this program about 4 times a year, so I would really love you to join me. And for those of you who are still with me, there is also within the next 24 hours, you can get your hands on an extra bonus, which is included in the price. It's an exclusive training for dealing with tantrums and misbehavior. We all know what it's like when our child is tantruming or hitting or biting or just generally misbehaving and saying no. And I want to give you that extra workshop bonus, which is coming out to deal with tantrums and misbehavior. So within the next 24 hours, you have access to have that included in the Potty Success Academy investment. And you might be thinking, shouldn't I wait and see if things improve? My experience is, it's that thing, you kind of go round in circles, and I would just love to give you that support to make sure that things do improve. I would also be very happy if anybody is interested to jump on a quick call with you, and I'll email you after this about that, because sometimes people have questions they want to ask, get answered personally. So my child is so difficult, will it work? children are all different, and you have different issues with them, but there is so much within that to dealing with difficult children and getting it to work and equipping you not just to deal with a potty training with a difficult child, but dealing with all sorts of other issues that you might encounter with them. And you might be thinking, I feel like I should work this out myself. Well, do you know what? If you were going to do that formula up there, you would not be able to work that out yourself unless you'd learned from a teacher. And I would love to be your teacher and help you and your child graduate from Potty Success Academy. So there it is again, what's involved in the program and the link to join. And I've come to your questions. So please fire away with your questions, because I love to get them answered. I had some questions submitted a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to pop the camera back on so you can see me. So fire away with questions that you have. But if not, I'm going to, if you haven't got one there, I'll just pop on with a question that I'm asked a lot. How long does it take to get through the program? Some people say, you know, that sounds like an awful lot. You do it in your own time. And if within the Facebook group, we're going to be going through it week by week, those 4 modules, but you don't have to do it at that pace. If you're perhaps new to it, you might want to take longer on the get ready bit. But you can do you have unlimited time access, so you can do it in your own time. But people will often say, how long will it take to potty train? My experience with people that properly prepare, that they get their child potty trained out of nappies really quite quickly. That can be between a few days or a couple of weeks when they are really confidently using the potty. So so I've got a question up here. My son is 3 years, 3 months, already a poo with holder, even in nappies. We tried to introduce the potty, but he has a fear of the sensation about, yes, Liz, it would definitely help. And I've actually added in a brand new booklet all about the specifics of constipation and withholding to help educate you. And it's something that you can get support with through the exclusive members group and through the extra Q&A training that I'm going to do. But this has helped Chrissy and Dan. That was the issue with Otto. I've got all the latest research on the nutritional side of things, the behavioral side of things, and you get a massive amount of support in order to get you over that problem. So yes, it would be great for that. I do have a platinum offer as well, which is here. So I also have a platinum package, which when you go through to checkout, it can tell you about that, which gives you extra support and coaching from me through one-to-one video calls. So sometimes parents with severe constipation and withholding access the platinum support package to really ensure that they get that extra individual support from me, private support. The video conference, the video calls are recorded so you can review it. It just gives you that bit of extra reassurance. But Potty Success Academy is also great. And within the Platinum package, you get the Potty Success Academy program and the extra video consultations with me. So yeah, there was fire away with your questions. I just want to go back to that slide there, which explains what's in the program. Any other questions? Let's have a look. I would also be very happy to jump on a call with anybody that needs some extra reassurance or has some extra questions that they might not have asked. You will still get access to that extra tantrums workshop as long as you book within 24 hours of the workshop. And I'd love to have you join me on that. I'm kind of excited about that. It's something new, and it's something I get asked about so much, and I have such a lot of experience with that, that I'm excited to add in that extra workshop on tantrums and misbehavior. I've got, yeah, how long should it take potty, how long should we expect potty training to take? It varies child to child, but my experience is it's a whole lot quicker when you get yourself prepared, get your child prepared, and really know what you're doing and have worked it out, how to avoid that resistance and get them excited about it. It is really exciting when they get it. You know, it is so fantastic to have them have that leap in their development for this complex skill, to learn a complex skill, and to learn it. You know, think of an athlete. Athletes did not get to be skilled without constant training and development from their coaches. And I want to be your coach. I would really love to take you through Potty Success Academy with your child and get your child to graduate and get that graduation certificate for them. So some other questions, here we are, that were asked before that may be on your mind. Does the type of potty matter? So yes, I feel that it does, but it's very much child specific. I happen to really like Baby Bjorn potties because they are very well ergonomically designed. I like children, particularly anyone with poo issues, to start off with a potty because it's a much better position for them to sit in. So I don't think you have to spend fortunes on them. Like, I know that there are ones that talk and all that kind of thing, but it's so much more about the proper fit for their bottom. And like I say, the Baby Bjorn usually have a really good fit and children seem to like them. Also, if you have an insert inside the potty, so you are able to take what they've produced and tip it down the loo, and it's something small enough that they can help you with. It's also part of getting that normality, the pride in what they've produced. And tipping out a little insert is actually easier than tipping the whole potty, which can sometimes spill more easily. And another one is my daughter's scared of the potty and won't go anywhere near it. I have so many resources within the program, particularly within modules 1 and 2, Get Ready, Get Set, which help address those fears. And it's very useful because it's not just fears for you, fears about the potty, but it helps address other fears. So helping you with that language, validating the feelings and helping allay their fears is all covered within the program. How much should I prompt? I feel it just annoys her. There's a very specific way of prompting that I teach within the program that doesn't annoy children, because what will often happen is that you get a frustrated child if you're over prompting. So I'll tell you all about that in order to avoid you over prompting and avoid them getting irritated and starting to resist you. Another person wrote in and said they feel like such a failure, that they tried before their baby was born and it was a disaster. All their friends are trained and they're stressing out. Do you remember at the beginning when I said, take the pressure off yourself? I'm here to help. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to give you the roadmap. Take the pressure off yourself. It will get done. You know, very often there's a pressure of a child starting preschool, and I'm here to help you do this in a gentle and collaborative way without you feeling pressured. So yes, the program and my support through the Facebook group will get you all of that. Okay, why doesn't my child get it? They're so articulate. And I will, it doesn't, you know, it isn't about a child's, it isn't about where their IQ is. It's just about that engagement, about knowing your child. And there are some children who have speech delay who really get it. And there are some children who have incredible speech who are slower to get it. So it's not about that, but it's about, not to say that speech delay is linked to IQ, but anyway, just in terms of their communication, there are so many ways of getting them connected with you and engaged in the potty training that it's irrelevant to where their speech is. Okay, any other questions? If you need, yes, question, if they want to upgrade from PSA to Platinum, it will be more expensive. The Platinum program includes Potty Success Academy and those consultations, but if you do them separately, it is more expensive. And I only do just Potty Success Academy for the autumn. And so I would recommend, it's actually a really good deal, getting that extra consultation for me. Normally I charge just for one consultation £200, £195. So it is better value for you to go straight to the platinum. But I'm very happy to jump on a call and talk about that. So I would, if there's any other questions, please fire away. If not, I will just type. No, I'll set up a time. I'll get in touch with you to see if you would like to have that consultation, that phone consultation, so we can make sure that that happens. Get that in the diary. Okay, so unless there's any other questions, you will, when you go through to the checkout, there's some other frequently asked questions that there's a little drop-down menu. So you can have a look at those. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me. I hope that you found this useful. I'd love you to join me on the journey, and ping me an email, camilla@myparentingsolutions.com, and I can answer extra questions there. And we can set up a time to have a call if that's something that would be helpful for you. So I'm going to switch off now and say goodbye, and thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, that's it. Okay.